यमुनतीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
Thank you, Mata. Hare Krishna. Jai Vishnupada Paramahansa Paribraja Chakracharya Ashtotara Shri Srimati Divine Shri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai.
जय
जय कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त की जय।
Jai.
राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्यामा कुंड राधा कुंड गोवर्धन की
Jai.
जय
पुरी वृंदावन धाम की जय।
Jai.
और नवद्वीप धाम की जय।
Jai.
माई जमुना माई की जय।
Jai.
भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की जय।
Jai.
श्याम वेद भक्त वृंद की जय।
Jai.
और प्रेमानंदे
Hari Hari Bol.
all glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare
Krishna
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hari Hari
Hare Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna, all the devotees. So today we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, text number 9. And I will recite it 3 times and then you please recite it. Kaya vrittya vartitam vasa charidbhihi kshitimandalam tirthani kshetra mukhyani sevitani bhutale. Kaya vrittya vartitam vasa charidbhihi kshitimandalam tirthani kshetra mukhyani sevitani bhutale. Kaya vrittya vartitam vasa charidbhihi kshitimandalam tirthani kshetra mukhyani sevitani bhutale. Please recite.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Kaya vritya vartitam vasa charabdhi chiti mandalam tirthani kshetra mukhyani sevitani bhutale. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
कया वृत्या वर्तितं वश्चरदिता कृष्णमण्डलं तीर्थानि क्षेत्रमुख्यानि सेवितानि भूतले. हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण. कया वृत्त्या वर्तितं वश्चरदीक्षितिमण्डलं तीर्थानि क्षेत्रमुख्यानि सेवितानि भूतले. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna.
कया वृत्त्या वर्तितं वशचरद्भीक्षितिमण्डलं तीर्थानि क्षेत्रमुख्यानि सेवितानि भूतले.
हरे कृष्ण. कया वृत्ता वर्तितं वश्चरद्भिः क्षितिमण्डलं तीर्थानि क्षेत्रमुख्यानि सेवितानि भूतले. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna.
कया वृत्त्या वर्तितं वश्चरद्भीक्षितिमण्डलं तीर्थानि क्षेत्रमुख्यानि सेवितानि भूतले.
हरे कृष्ण. कया
आवित्यावर्तितं चरद्भिः चितिमण्डलं तीर्थानि क्षेत्रमुख्यानि सेवितानि हि भूतले. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I will read the verse to verse, but I forgot to recite Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasa tato jayamudiraye nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttam shloke bhakti bhavati naishtuki. So what translation? Kaya means by which, Pratya means Vartitam, maintain your livelihood. Vaha, your good self. Charidbhi, while traveling. Shiti Mandalam, on the surface of the earth. Tirthani, places of pilgrimage. Kshetra Mukhyani, the principal holy places. Sevitani, served by you. Iha, in this world. Bhutale, on this planet. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. While traveling on the surface of the earth, how did you maintain your livelihood? At which holy places and pilgrimage sites did you render service? Vidura went out from the palace to detach himself from household affairs, especially political intrigues. As referred to here in briefly, he was practically insulted by Duryodhana, calling him a son of Shudrani, although it was not out of place to talk loosely in the case of one's grandmother. Vidur's mother, although a Shudrani, was the grandmother of Duryodhana. And funny talks are sometimes allowed between grandmother and grandchildren, but because the remark was an actual fact, it was unpalatable talk to Vidur, and it was accepted as a direct insult. He therefore decided to quit his paternal house and prepared for the renounced order of life. This preparatory stage is called the Vanaprastha Ashram, or retired life, for traveling and visiting the holy places on the surface of the earth. In the holy places of India, like Vrindavan, Haridwar, Jagannath Puri, and Prayag, there are many great devotees. And there are still free kitchen houses for persons who desire to advance spiritually. Maharaj Yudhishthir was inquisitive to learn whether Vidur maintained himself by the mercy of the free kitchen houses, Chatras. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurvrintam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruvai Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratushe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. So thank you very much for giving me this great opportunity and also giving me your valuable association. And this will actually very good for me because it will glorify Srimad Bhagavatam and also purify my soul. which is contaminated, this material world, and there are so many layers of contamination. So reading Bhagavatam and listening Bhagavatam every single morning actually help us to purify our heart, so we can be more interested in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. So Sut Goswami actually described, like in the last chapter, 12th chapter, we see the birth of Parikshit Maharaj. But now we can see that now he's describing in 13th chapter is that Rashtra quits home. So how does Rashtra actually quit home, and how Vidurji returned back from his pilgrimage. So now Sutta Goswami actually is describing all the events one by one, which ultimately leads to the coronation of Parikshit Maharaj. So slowly he is describing different incidences, events happen, like how Vidurji returned. So in the beginning of this chapter, we read, how the Vidurji actually returned back from his pilgrimage, and how he was received by all the people, whole people living in the palace for Hastinapur, and then how properly. So we know very interesting shloka. This is the great thing about the Vedic culture, that how somebody comes, and he's received. Like before, like nowadays we have a lot of cell phones, and we send the text that I'm coming. Before they were coming as Atithi means there is no date when he's coming. Many times people will knock the door at 2:00 in the night, and then you open the door and they receive him properly and feed him at that time, and the host actually forgets all the inconveniences, and he's so happy that somebody came to his house, So it's a great fortune. So that's why they were saying Atithi Devo Bhava, that Atithi was respected as the Devata, demigod, So this was the greatness of the Vedic culture before. Nowadays, if you go to somebody without calling him, or sending text or asking him, you cannot go actually. Or if you go, he will be very upset that why this guy comes to my house, without informing me, notifying me I was doing this and I was doing this. So many problems, But that time, was so great, when people used to come like that. So now in this verse, we can see there is the conversation going on between, after, like when Yudhishthira Maharaj received Vidurji very properly, fed him real nicely. After he gave good rest to Vidurji, and after that, they all sat down at one place, whole family, and then Yudhishthira Maharaj was asking questions. So this is the etiquette actually, that you ask a question, because Vidurji was his uncle, and very pious person, very great devotee of the Lord. So he was asking different questions. He was asking he is asking. So in the last slok, slok number 8, he was asking that Vidurji, you protected us from all our calamities, you protected us from the poison, Bhim was given poison and he protected him, and also from the Lakshagraha, with the house of the wax, Duryodhana wanted to burn them, but Vidurji actually helped them, sending the quoted words, which was like written in different language, like different quotes, and the Yudhishthira Maharaj could understand, what he means, and that's why they dig a tunnel, from that Lakshagraha to the forest, and everything was arranged by Vidurji, because Vidurji was the minister in the Dhritarashtra government, cabinet, and he knew what's going on actually, and he had the detectives, who could say what Duryodhana was doing, what he's thinking, and what plans he has, So he had information, and he related to the Pandavas, so that they could save their life this way. And in this slok, we are seeing that Yudhishthira Maharaj is inquiring from Vidurji that which pilgrimage he went, where he served, how he was maintaining himself, where he was eating or fulfilling his other necessities. So different questions, he was asking to Vidurji. So he's saying that while traveling on the surface of the earth, how did you maintain your livelihood? Means where he was getting his food from, was he getting from the free places, which gives the food, like people, like charitable trust, there are so many charitable trusts in each holy dham. Now also, a couple of years ago, I went to Gordhan Parikrama and I saw how many places, people are giving free food, to many people, and with very great respect. Actually, it's not like come here, take the food. It's not like that. They were really very humble in their approach, and they will say, Prabhuji, take the food, and they will bring the plate, and give you in your hand, and just say, please take the prasadam. So that in proper attitude, many rich people, who can afford, they supply the food to these devotees, because serving the devotees is the great thing in the dham. So that's why they do it, so they can get lot of benefits out of that, so they purify their soul, and they can, in association with the devotees, they can become devotee also. So there are a lot of advantage actually doing these things. So many people are doing, and Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking whether he was taking the prasadam from those places. Prabhupada is writing Chhatras, so mercy of the free kitchens. And he also asked, Yudhishthira Maharaj is also asking, at which holy places and pilgrimage sites did you render service? So he was asking, which places, he visited and which places he rendered service. So Prabhupada is writing in the purport that when he was actually, Vidurji was insulted by Duryodhana by calling him the son of Shudrani. Actually, like Pandu and Dhritarashtra, they were son of the queen, but Vidurji was son of the maid servant, who was Shudrani. And you don't say somebody on the face that you are the son of Shudrani like that, it's a truth, but it's a very hard truth to swallow, so that's why Vidurji thought that this is direct insult to me, and actually this is by this, he can get out of the palace. He wanted to go to palace anyway, so this actually was the chance, it's arranged by Krishna actually. If you think that like he was serving the trust for so many years, but Krishna gave him chance, that Duryodhana insults him, he makes the plans like that so that, Vidurji can go on pilgrimage, and learn all the spiritual science, in different places, and then come back, and then he take the trust with him, because he comes back for the benefit of the trust actually, it's not for him that he wanted to come to palace again, and live in the comfortable life, there was no intention of Vidurji like that. He came for the benefit of the Dhritarashtra. So actually, this is the preparatory stage Prabhupada is writing in the purport. So like before you completely detached, this is the stage in between, like known as Vanaprastha ashram, where husband and wife, if they both want, if the wife is conducive and willing to take the inconveniences of going out, because whenever you leave the house, in the house is very comfortable, nice bed, nice sofa to sit, and air conditioning, and so many different things, in the house we get here. But if you see in the outside, you can get food on time, you don't get food. If you don't get food, just sleep hungry like that, and you have to sleep either in dharamshala or sleep under the tree, so there are so many different things actually. And in the olden days, there were not facility at all, outside, but still people were taking these inconveniences to purify their soul, and they were ready to detach themselves from this material world, so they can spiritualize themselves, they can do more and more devotional service. So that was the aim. So this was the stage in between, so he went for traveling and visiting the holy places on the surface of the earth. So there are so many holy places, like Prabhupada mentioned few, like Vrindavan, Haridwar, Jagannath Puri, Prayag. We can also, in the Braj Bhumi, there are so many places like Radha Kunda, Shama Kunda, which are the most holy places, and Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Dwarkapuri, wherever Lord Krishna performs his leelas, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mayapur, Navadvip Dham, and so there are so many different places, and people can visit those places and can get all the benefit. The most important thing is Dham is not the Dham itself, but we see the sadhus there. The sadhus, they carry the tirtha with them actually, so because sadhus are there, and those sadhus can give you the knowledge, and their association. So that's most important, because sadhus always carry Dham with them, and you get blessings of the sadhus when you get in touch just by seeing them, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kai, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. So, this is the greatness of associating with the sadhus. So, Yudhishthira Maharaj was inquisitive, and he was asking so many things, and asking the welfare of the Vidurji, how he did, and he wanted to learn from his pilgrimage, like experiences. So, actually, Vidurji, if you see, his character, he was so friendly to everyone. He had no enemy whatsoever at all. And he was also well-wisher to everyone. And he always instructed Dhritarashtra right from the beginning, like when Duryodhana was even child, he knew by seeing Duryodhana and his character, like he was giving poison to Bhim, because Duryodhana saw that only Bhim can actually is equally in his strength, in the Gada training and everything. That so he thought, that if the Bhim goes, then Nakul, Sahadev, Yudhishthir, even he can actually defeat Arjuna. So that's why he was thinking that the Bhim is not there. It will be very easy way for him, because he wanted to become king. He was very jealous with all the Pandavas. So that's why he gave him the poison mixed with food. And but Bhim was so strong, and it was all the Pandavas has always mercy of Lord Krishna. So with that mercy, Krishna saved Bhim, because after Bhim became unconscious, and they thought, that he's dead now with the poison, so they throw him in the river. But somehow the other, Bhim returned back to the bank of the river, and he woke up, and then he walked to the palace. And the Duryodhana was very surprised at that. What happened actually, how Bhim is back, after giving so much poison and everything. Similarly, we can see that the Duryodhana made the house of the wax, Lakshagraha, and he wanted to burn all 5 Pandavas with Draupadi, because he wanted whole kingdom himself, and he knew that Yudhishthira Maharaj is already coronated as the prince, and he will be next king, so he wanted to kill them. So there is way open for him to be next king, So Duryodhana was doing all these mischiefs, and he told the Pandavas that, why don't you go to this vacation place? I have made special arrangements for you, special house, palace for you. You live there very comfortably and all these things. But Vidurji knew that there is something wrong, why Duryodhana is so nice to them, and he found out, the house is made of the wax, and he will put the fire in that. So he sent a message to Yudhishthira Maharaj that you get out by going through the tunnel, and then he arranged for the tunnel also, dig through the forest to their palace, their wax house. So that way, the Pandavas can actually save their life. So actually, Krishna is a Lord Krishna's blessings, on all the Pandavas, that he used Vidurji to save the life of the Pandavas. And Vidurji actually has so much love for all the Pandavas and the welfare of the Pandavas, that and he was teaching them also right from the childhood that how they can be on the right path. Other great thing about Vidurji is, we can see that in this world, we compromise the truth sometime, and we say lie just to keep the relationship. Sometimes, we want to keep good relationship. We say, if this is true thing also, but if you tell them, he will get angry, so forget about it, it doesn't matter to me. So we just say lie, and we don't say the real truth, but Vidurji was not like that. Vidurji will tell the truth, all the time. He never actually gave it up. He never sacrificed truth and the right path, actually. And that's why he was giving correct advice to Dhritarashtra all the time. When Vidurji saw that Duryodhana is like that, he told him, kill him now, otherwise he will destroy you and whole kingdom, actually. And whole dynasty he will finish, because he's so bad guy. But Dhritarashtra was blinded with the love. He was blind himself, but also he was blind internally also. And externally he was blind, that he had no eyes, he was blind from the birth, but he was blinded by the love of Duryodhana. Actually, he loved him so much, he will listen to him all the time. So actually, these material sentiments, sometimes we get attached to this son or that daughter or things like that, so this attachment is not good, actually. We should always be on the right path, and we should know that what is the right path. Right path is the devotional service to the Supreme Lord, actually, rather than getting so much attachment in this material world. But we see here that Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana both were so much blinded by this material attachment, then they will not see what is the truth in the world. And Vidurji, we see here how Duryodhana insulted him, actually. And Duryodhana was so blinded to get the power to become a king, so he tried everything to grab the power, actually. We can see even when Krishna came to Hastinapur, just for the Pandavas, as a Shanti Dut, that this war should not happen, Mahabharata should not happen. But we can see that how Duryodhana was blinded, that he wanted to arrest the Lord of Krishna. And who can arrest Lord of Krishna, actually? So we can see, that how Duryodhana was completely misguided, by his friends, especially Shakuni, and Karna also was giving him bad advice, so we cannot even imagine, how to that respected person like Vidurji, who was so religious, he can say him son of Shudrani, it's not just the word, son of Shudrani, he was son of Shudrani, but it doesn't matter, but how he said it, that is very insulting. And for a devotee, honor, dishonor are the same thing, actually. They don't mind these things, but actually it's not good for the person who is saying that, So Vidurji thought, that let me just get out of this palace and let me just go to the pilgrimage, and serve other devotees there and listen to them and increase my spiritual knowledge and spiritual services, devotional services there. So it was very good for him also. So, Chetan, actually, now we will talk about a little bit about in this one, in this shloka, mostly description of the pilgrimage, so what is why Tirthatana is so important, why going to pilgrimage site is important for us. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can see he instructed the Sanatana Goswami, actually, Sanatana Shiksha, he gave in Prayagraj, and about the processes of devotional service. So he told Sanatana Goswami that there are 64 different devotional services, but out of them, 5 are considered the best ones. And those 5, he said in a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Madhya Lila, he says, Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtan Bhagavad Shravana Mathura Vash Sri Murti Shraddhaya Sevana. So one should associate with the devotees, that Sadhu Sangha. The Nam Kirtan is the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Nam Kirtan is chanting also doing the Kirtan as we do in the temple, or when we go outside, for Harinam. So also giving class, that's also Nam Sankirtan actually. And then Bhagavad Shravana, when we hear the classes, or hear any sadhu, so that's Bhagavad Shravana. Then Murti Mathuravas. Mathuravas means the living in a holy place, holy dham, where Lord perform his leelas. And then the Murti Shraddhaya Sevan. So serving the deity form of the Lord, because deity is actually is the form of the Lord. Actually, Lord himself comes in the form of the deities just to accept the services of the devotees. So that's why when we do Pran Pratishtha in the temple, Lord enters in that particular deity and he accepts the seva. So when we go and see the darshan of the deities, actually, Lord mercifully sees us when we go with a humble mood and we pray to the Lord, he sees us and blesses us. So in this shloka, actually, Mahaprabhu is describing the process of devotional service to Sanatana Goswami, actually. So before he gave all these processes, he, in the beginning, when we read Sanatana Shiksha, he told the truth about the living entities and the soul, actually. What is the soul and the body, and what is the importance of the devotional service? He said that, and then he described uselessness of the mental speculations, that they are not good. Also, he told about mystic yoga, that's not good. It's just about gymnastic, there is no advantage of that. And he told him that in all circumstances, each living entities should accept actually path of devotional service. So that's very important thing, actually. The speculative methods, like we see in the Karma Kanda or Gyan Kanda or Ashtanga Yoga, in all these systems, these are actually bad things. We see just intelligent person should not go. He should just adapt the devotional service, and that is the best for them. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that these 5 names of devotional service are the best. And even we perform slightly up these 5 devotional service, it actually advantage of except using them, performing them is actually, it awakens us, actually awakens love for Lord Krishna. So that is the most important thing. And in the purport of this shloka from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada actually quoted a verse from Brahma Samhita in that purport, and he said, Anganam panchakasyasya puroveli hitasya nikhila shrestha bodhya punarapi atra sanshana. The glorification of these 5 items, like association of devotees, or the Nam Kirtan, or Bhagavad Seva, or Srimurti Puja, or Mathura Vas, these all things, practices to make known the complete superiority of these 5 elements, of the practice of the devotional service. So actually these are the most important things in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is stressing, and he stressed this more in shlokas from 130 in chapter 22, Madhya Lila, 130 to 135. And he gives, I will just read the translation of those verses because we don't have too much time. With love and full faith, one should worship the lotus feet of the deities. One should taste the meaning of the Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of pure devotees. And one should associate with the devotees who are more advanced than ourselves. So when we associate with the devotees, who are more advanced, that's more beneficial to us, and who are endowed with a similar type of affection for the Lord. So we have to see, if any pure devotee we follow, we should see actually how much love he has for Krishna, how much time he spends for Krishna or cause of Krishna, So those things we should see before we associate and follow that particular devotee. And one should congregationally chant the holy name of Lord and reside in Vrindavan. So residing in the holy dham is very important. The power of these 5 principles is very wonderful, but it's difficult to understand unless we actually practice them. Then we will understand more. Even without faith in them, a person who is offenseless can awaken the dormant love for Krishna. So actually, following these devotional services, all these 5 services or any one of them, actually we can arise our dormant love for Krishna. That's a very important thing. Because there are so many devotional services, 64 devotional services. But Rupa Goswami actually and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stressed about these 5 main services. When one is firmly fixed in devotional service, whether he executes one or many processes of devotional service, the waves of love of Godhead will awaken. There are many devotees who execute only one of the 9 processes. This Nauda Bhakti is given by Prahlad Maharaj, Shravanam Kirtanam. And so those things, but nonetheless, they got ultimate success. Devotees like Amrish Maharaj, he executed all 9 items of devotional services and ultimately got succeed. So actually, we can see in ISKCON also, Srila Prabhupada actually structured ISKCON that all these 5 limbs of devotional service are automatically done. It's not just one. So Bhakti Charu Maharaj actually gave one class, and he wrote in the class, he said that Prabhupada actually designed ISKCON in such a way that anyone who is engaged in Krishna consciousness activity in ISKCON is automatically performing these 5 activities. So like Sadhu Sangha, anyone who comes to ISKCON is getting association of the devotees actually. So Sadhu Sangha is there always. So this is how one is. And also when somebody is living in the temple or listening Bhagavatam class, so he is actually, then he's reading these scriptures actually. Anyone who is in ISKCON worship the deities, like pujaris and all those people, automatically do that. Actually, even seeing the deities are being praised, like Abhishek and those things we see, we get benefit of that also. And then if you see the holy dham, residing in the holy dham, all the temples actually, Prabhupada said that they are like embassies of the Golok Vrindavan. So like when we go to embassy and they put a stamp, that because inside the embassy, we can see the laws, like in India, there is embassy of America. So that American embassy, actually all the laws are followed, all the holidays and everything is followed according to US government, So similarly, the temple itself, is the embassy of the Golok Vrindavan. So we can see the effect of that, So that is the holy place actually. Therefore, those who are living in the temple or whose consciousness, even people living outside, but their consciousness in the temple, they are attending all holy festivals and everything. They are reading, listening, even by Zoom, then it creates that kind of Vrindavan environment actually. So they are actually residing in Mathura. In this way, Prabhupada has given us simple process of Krishna consciousness. So we can realize that why so many senior devotees, that we stress all the time. We can see so many Maharaj, they all, like Bhakti Charu Maharaj was all the time saying that never leave ISKCON. So why they actually give so much importance to ISKCON and serve the local temple? Because we do our sadhana bhakti, and we will surely make progress in our spiritual life if we stick with the ISKCON actually. So that is important. And the importance of Mathura Vas actually, or Vas in the Vrindavan, is itself is a bhajan actually. And when we perform it with sincere kirtan, like sincere chanting, sincere like kirtan in the temple, listening the kirtan and singing the songs of Lord Krishna. So actually that way devotees are pulled into Vraj Prem Bhakti. So that is very important, that is the way. Because we see in the Kali Yuga, the Nam Sankirtan is very important. because in Nam Sankirtan there is no rule or regulation. Actually, we can chant anywhere, we can sing anywhere Krishna's name, and they are so powerful and so purifying. And if you do it with full enthusiasm and full intensity, 100%, we can be sure that we will be guided towards the pure bhakti of Krishna very soon. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Naya, Kevalam, Kalo Naste, Vanaste, Vanaste, Gatir, Anyatha. So, actually, there is so much to say about the Dham Seva, actually, how one can live in the Dham. So, I will just 5 minutes, I will read that, I will go through the Dham Seva, how we can do it, and what is the importance of Dham Seva. And then few minutes I will, because today is very important day about arrival of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was arrived in USA today. So we will just, and he wrote a poem, so I just want to read the translation of that poem, which is very important, how Prabhupada was praying to the Supreme Lord that so that he can be successful in his mission in following his Guru Maharaj's order. So that we will read in. So we will. So going on pilgrimage, actually we can see that even 5,000 years ago, Vidurji was going on the pilgrimage, So we can see, and before even Vidurji, years and years ago, people are still continuing that thing. And before Vidurji also, people were going on pilgrimage. So this was actually going on for actually ages, actually, if you can see. And why people go? Because people which people go to pilgrimage? Because people who want to come closer to Krishna, because it brings us close to Krishna. We think about Krishna in pilgrimage, what we will do. We will think about Krishna, read about his books, those kind of things. If you go to pilgrimage with wrong intention, then there is no use of that. Actually, if people go to Vrindavan and live there, not thinking about Krishna, and actually fighting with those Brajvasis, that's very, actually we get more sins doing that rather than going to Vrindavan that way. So we have to have proper consciousness, and we have to see the Dham with proper eyes. That's important. One time Prabhupada was asked, what is the benefit of going to Vrindavan? So he says that Vrindavan gives one impetus to go back to Godhead. So that is the benefit, that's why people say. But when we arrive in the holy Dham, actually, we should be ready for serious work. We don't go in the Dham and just do any nonsense activity, or go to Lohi Bazaar and buy dhotis and saris and all those things, because we are not there for shopping. Actually, we can go for things for the deities and other things, fine, but just don't waste too much time, and shop around too much, just go for a short time, whatever you need, just get it. But the main aim is to see the deity, chant their holy name, associate with the sadhus, because sadhus actually make the tirtha. So associate with the pure devotees of the Lord. Because actually we have all the bad ideas, because we have the illusion. So we have to remove the illusion, and then only we can see the real Dham. Otherwise, many times we go to Vrindavan and we see all the pigs and all the mud and all those things, all the mosquitoes and all the flies around, especially in the rainy season. So those things we should not see, but we should see the Leela, what Lord performed there. Because for the mundane people, the purity of the Dham is not seen by the mundane people, because they are covered, their eyes are covered with all these bad things, actually. So the coverage has to be removed. So what is the advantage of in the Dham? Actually, it is said that actually Lord has invested his powers, his Shaktis in the Dham, actually. So in mostly two main Shaktis are in the Dham. One is the Tarak Shakti and one is Parak Shakti. So Tarak Shakti is the energy of the Lord that liberates us from the material conditionings. So when Tarak Shakti works on us, when we in the Dham and pray to the Lord, then Lord's Tarak Shakti, which will take care of our covering, material coverings. So we can actually take the advantage of the Dham fully. And then there is Parak Shakti. Parak Shakti actually is the energy which attracts us towards the Lord. And it just works like a centrifuge, like which centrifugal force, which pulls like magnet, some iron particle comes, it will pull. Similarly, it pulls us towards Krishna. So Parak Shakti, if it works on us, then we get real benefit of the Dham. Although the Dham is covered by the covering potency of the Lord, when devotee actually performs devotional service without offense, that's very important, like chanting with offenselessly, reading the Bhagavatam offenselessly, that way we can experience the mercy of the Holy Dham and mercy, and then we can begin towards Krishna. So this is the main importance. And also one thing we should be very important to remember that nobody can enter in the Dham or in his spiritual world with his own strength actually, because anybody can have the ticket to Dham. Anybody can go by train or by plane, to Delhi and then go to take a taxi, go to Vrindavan. But in the Dham, actually, he will not see the real Dham. To get the entrance in the Dham, we require the invitation. And how we can get invitation? We have to get the shelter of the Guru. So we have to see the lotus feet of Guru, and then by mercy of the Guru, then we can see the Dham. Otherwise, we not. And also we should take the shelter of the Tulsi Devi. That's very important because Vrindavan is Vranda Devi. So it's a Dham of Vranda Devi actually. So Vranda Devi's shelter is very important. That's why we all the time say in the Tulsi prayer, Mora Yei Abhilash Vilash Kunja Diyevas. So we are praying to grant me a residence in the grooves of the Vrindavan. So, and we should also pray to Lord Nityananda, actually, to free us from the material desires. Otherwise, if you don't pray to Nityananda Prabhu, then those material desires are so strong. They keep binding us, keep us stay in this material world. And that's why we go life after life, in the form of different bodies. So that cycle can be broken if we pray to Tulsi Devi and Nityananda Prabhu, take shelter of the Guru, and be serious in the seva, in different devotional services. So those are important things actually. So now, in the little short time, I will just read from the Satsuru Maharaj's book, Prabhupada Lilamrit, and about the arrival of Prabhupada in US, because that's the day today. So Sri Prabhupada actually arrived at 5:30 a.m. on September 17, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow early morning means the night of 16th actually. So the ship has to stop briefly in Boston because it was going to New York, but it goes through the Boston actually. So Prabhupada actually first thing he noticed that in America, he saw the letters A and P written, printed on the pier front warehouse. On the warehouse, it was written A and P. So those letters are the first things Srila Prabhupada noticed in Boston actually. The gray waterfront dawn. So there revealed the ships so he saw the ship is in the harbor now, and then he can see all the lobster shops and different things, different buildings, and the skyline of Boston. Prabhupada was seeing that. So Prabhupada has to pass through the US immigration and custom in Boston, because wherever you come first place, then that is the place, where you clear your immigration and customs. And then visa was allowed to him only for 3-month stay. And his passport was indicated that the date of his departure, that after 3 months he has to go back. So Captain Pandey invited Srila Prabhupada to take a walk into Boston, where the captain intended to do some shopping. They walked across the footbridge into a busy commercial area with all the churches, warehouse, office buildings, bars. So those kind of things. Prabhupada went And so Prabhupada briefly observed the city. But the most significant thing about his short stay in Boston, aside from the fact that he had now set foot in America, was that the Commonwealth period, he wrote another Bengali poem entitled Markin Bhagavad Dharma, teaching Krishna consciousness in America. Some of these verses he wrote on the board of ship that day are as follows. So I will read just a translation of the verses. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me in this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered by material modes of ignorance and passion, absorbed in material life. They think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Krishna. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? Oh Lord, I'm simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy of your will. And therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. How will I make them understand the message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or the other, oh Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. O spiritual master of all the words, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. Oh Lord, I am just a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance, make me dance. Oh Lord, make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have a strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhakti Vedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purpose of Bhakti Vedanta. Signed, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami. So now we can see, how by Prabhupada's pure prayers, the real true prayers, how Krishna blessed Prabhupada, then he was able to spread Krishna consciousness to every nook and corner of the whole world. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So I will end here, and we can discuss any question, concern, any questions or comments, anything. Thank you very much for listening. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Very
Hare
nice class. Speak very nicely about devotee association when you go to the holy places and or in Vrindavan. Everyone should spend more time in the sadhu sangha. And also about renouncing everything and go to and do austerity. Srila Prabhupada also said that you can be in any ashram, you still be Krishna consciousness. So when is the stage that we know that we have to give up everything and just renounce and perform austerity?
Well, without renouncing, actually we cannot concentrate more. We cannot put one leg on material things, and one leg on the spiritual things. We cannot do that, because then we will not be succeeding fully. We can pray, but that will only purify us. It will not attract us to Krishna if we live in the material world. That's why it was important before to have one prashna, the intermediate stage, and then completely detach. Ultimately, we have to detach it. And if we don't detach with the material things, at the death, Krishna will ultimately take us away from all these things anyway. So we have to give up anyway. So why don't we become intelligent and slowly detach from the material things, and gradually proceed towards devotional services more and more, and don't pay attention so much to the material things. So that is the gradual process. It doesn't come in one day, but we should. That's why slowly in our Grahastha life, we should try to give up things one by one, and then ultimately go to pilgrimage sites more and more. Like maybe one person, above 60, people should just give up the job and everything, and then visit the dham few times a year, like that, and then slowly give up everything and just stay in the dham purely and stay there. So those are the things, recommended by Srila Prabhupada and all the Maharaj and all the devotees, So, and it's a good suggestion, actually, living in the house and with the children and the husband and everything, we cannot actually concentrate much more on bhakti all the time. This kid is pulling us towards that, and so many. But when we live in the family, we can see how many birthdays and son and grandson, and how many the anniversaries and this, and so many things goes on, and we waste so much of time. How many times we have wives, husbands, sons, daughters, how many birthdays we had. We are here for time immemorial, how many births we had. So just we got this one human life, so we should use at least whatever remaining, whatever we did. We cannot change that now, but whatever is remaining time, we have to be very serious about our life and think about what will benefit me. So that way, it's better to detach as soon as possible, Gradually, I'm not saying that suddenly one has to give up everything and just go to the dham, Nobody can do that, but gradually it's only like our consciousness matters more, rather than actually, like it's a yukta vairagya. It's not complete vairagya, but in ISKCON we follow yukta vairagya. So we use the material things, for the devotional service. Like in home also, we can do bhakti properly. Like if everybody is conducive to the devotional service, but somebody's wife or husband is against devotional service, then in that house it's very hard to live. That way, if both wives and husband reading together, serving together, offering Lord together, reading together, then that's a dham itself. That house is a dham, actually, So he need not to go, but some people, who cannot perform bhakti properly in the home, they should definitely try to get out of the house. And because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, do all the things, we follow the things, which are conducive to your bhakti, but some things are against bhakti, that you have to give up. So that is the way it is, and suggested by all the Vaishnavas and pure devotees. So we should follow that. Thank you very much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Ramsham Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, So it was really nice session today, Prabhuji, as usual. And you elaborated very well on that Dham Mahima. That was really nice, because Kartik month is also coming, and you enlighten us on the Dham Mahima very nicely. Sadhu Sangha Nam Kirtan Bhagavat Sravan Mathura Vasri Mathura Sardha, especially deciding how to recite that in the Vrindavan and not to do any kind of aparadh. So that was really good to implement in our life, so that we can get the mercy of Radharani and Krishna. Yeah. and also the Prabhupada arrivals and like how he arrived to the America. So that was, and you read that his translation. So I was just one very famous one. Prabhupada always quotes everywhere, like verse number that is 14. आनी आचा जादी प्रभु हमारे ना चाहते, नाचाओ नचाओ प्रभु नाचाओ से माते, कास्टेरा पुतले जथा नाचाओ से माते. So that's really wonderful, because Prabhupada always said that make me dance. I am the puppet. You are the puppeteer. So just make me dance. Make me dance. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It's really wonderful today.
Thank you, Prabhu. Vindhyavali Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much. And the way you said Dham, Mahima and everything, that was very good. And you said that we had to go and leave the family thing, not that all the attachments, but for a lady to go like that, leaving all those things, unlike a man, unlike a male. So it's not that easy, I think, leaving all the bandhans, the attachments. So how it will be possible for, of course, say staying at home, if everybody cooperates, if everybody joins with the prayers and everything, that was a different story. If it's not there, but even otherwise, for a female in the house, inside in the house with all the related attachments, she cannot go out of the house and like a male there. So it's not that easy, I felt. That is one thing. And then when I was very young, not very young, but when I was not in Krishna conscious, not knowing all these things, I had been to Vrindavan, I had been to Mayapur. But I just visited and I just had the prayers, that's it. As usual, I do the prayers at home. I did and I came out. Right, when you are saying right now, what was the importance of the Vrindavan? And yes, like you said, I saw Vrindavan, oh, it is like a village, like that. I walked there and I did everything. But I didn't know that how powerful it was. It is. And then even Mayapur also. That is unfortunate when I was not in this much Krishna consciousness at that time. That was my experience. But this is the question I have, that for a female, it's not easy to get out of the house or anywhere going for ashram or anything, staying alone.
Yeah, that's true. For Mataji it's hard, but then in that case, if the family bandhan and everything is there, then Mataji actually should go to temple more often, serve their Lord, and associate more with the devotees. So they create the environment of dham itself in the temple. So that can be done, like Bhakti Charu Maharaj in a class he told, that in ISKCON, actually temples, Prabhupada actually created environment. So all these sevas, the 5 different kind of devotional services are automatically performed. One need not to just go for it. Automatically it will be done. So one should do that way also if they cannot practically go to the dham, like Mathura or Vrindavan or Mayapur. If they cannot go, then they can join more. But many Matajis may say that I don't have temple, ISKCON temple in my area. So that case is different, then they should come and live in the temple itself if they want to progress in spiritual life. So there are so many things, but it depends on us actually what we prefer. Because as I told, that ultimately Krishna will pull us, we have to give up anyway. If not now, at the time of death, we have to give up these things, So if we are smart enough, then we should give little early, so we can, at least in our old age, we can
that's true.
remember Krishna more and more rather than family. Because if the family is no good, like they are not devotees, what is the sense of living with them anyway? And in the Vrindavan also, there are so many places, so many houses for the mothers, Mothers can just join one of those houses and live there. Or if the people have money, then they can have the place, their own place in the Vrindavan and live there. So there are so many different ways, it's up to us actually how best we can serve a Lord. That's the most important thing, rather than practically living in the temple or living in the house or living in Vrindavan. That's not that important. Important thing is our consciousness. We have to make that either in home or in a temple or in dham. Even we go to dham, and if we don't follow all the rules, regulation, or not try to uncover our heart, and not clean our heart, and we are still thinking the same way, trying to enjoy in the dham, then what is the sense of going even to the dham? So it's not the dham, it's the consciousness which matters much. So I hope this helps you, Mata, a little bit, but
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
thank you. Dronacharya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Kaivalya Prabhu. Wonderful class. I really appreciated it very much. I always found it very interesting how Srila Prabhupada stated in the 7 purposes of ISKCON, when he talked about building temples. He didn't use the word temple. He said, to erect for the members and society at large a holy place of transcendental pastimes dedicated to the personality of Godhead. And I always found that fascinating, because he basically defined what the purpose of, because sometimes if you just say temple, church, center, people have their own kind of idea of, okay, what is that? Maybe it's a social gathering, maybe it's a charity, maybe, but he defined what that's supposed to be. As you were saying in the class, it's a place that we become Krishna conscious, and it's a place where Krishna's pastimes are being glorified all the time. And I just wanted to kind of reflect on that a little bit. Yeah, that is what I wanted to mention. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Any announcement or anything, or anybody has any more comments?
Let's see if anybody has another comment or question, and then I do have an announcement for this upcoming weekend. Okay, we tomorrow we will be 1 week away from the Rath Yatra. It's hard to imagine Rath Yatra is here, only 1 week away. So next week it starts, really the enthusiasm will really begin to build, and we want to invite everybody starting this Saturday to come and help prepare for next weekend. We have to do a lot of cleaning, especially the Cambro containers. We have to get some rooms ready for guests that will be coming. So we need some help there. And it'll also help with everyone, to help set the mood that Rath Yatra is coming. And then next week, we want to we're also planning to do some Sankirtan tomorrow at 2:30 in Rittenhouse Square to help promote Rath Yatra and spread the holy names of the Lord. 2:30 at Rittenhouse Square, 18th and Walnut Street. And then, of course, we have our Sunday Feast program. We invite everybody to come to. But then starting next week, we really want to encourage people to take off if you can on Friday. Most of us are given vacation days, personal days, and if you can give one of your vacation days, to Krishna, one of your personal days to Krishna, even a transcendental sick day, be sick from the material energy and take shelter of Krishna, if that's doable. to come that Friday before Rath Yatra and really put yourself, in Krishna service all day long for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath to help put on this wonderful Rath Yatra ceremony for the benefit of all the devotees, as well as so many of the living entities that will benefit that day. If anybody has any questions about the Rath Yatra, sometimes there's questions that come up. I can stay on and answer any. But just wanted to encourage everybody to take part in these wonderful, wonderful pastimes of the Lord. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kaivalya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Pitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Path Arrival Day ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.